YouTube does not push my videos or pretty much anybody's. Even if you're subscribed and hit the bell notification, you actually have to go to my channel manually yourself to find the videos and watch them. So if you like what you're seeing here, the information that I provide, the philosophical essays, the cerebral content, the book reviews, etc., you're going to have to manually go to my YouTube channel and find the videos. I post new videos every day, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for the video essays in particular. To Al-Udeed from December 2016 to March 2017. These are the events that led up to a letter of admonishment being issued to me. It is completed to the best of my ability with regards to what I can remember, with as much bias removed as possible, but there's always going to be some. 9 to 10 March 2017. Red Crew's aircraft commander, Captain Colby Helpyschmieder, is informed that her grandfather passed away that day. She passes to the Assistant Director of Operations, Captain Cody Benoit, that she did not feel mentally capable of flying the mission. She was to fly the next day on her own. She desired for Captain Benoit to fly with her. Captain Benoit was informed approximately 20 hours before Captain Helpyschmieder's flight was scheduled. I and then First Lieutenant Bradley Wedovic were informed that evening as well. This caused a shift in our schedules, where I would be required to come in 4 hours later for my shift and stay 8 hours later. Details that were decided upon on the fly, for which none of us had much time to process. When I am informed of the change in schedule, I am awake in my room. I am understanding and acquiesce, despite the circadian rhythm disruption. When I get to the squadron and take over for First Lieutenant Wedovic, there is a great deal of confusion as to how the process is going to work. And we do a highly rushed handover. Usually handovers take roughly 30 minutes. We accomplished that night's handover in 10. This is likely due to the fact that First Lieutenant Wedovic was very tired from an extended shift. Nevertheless, I assume I have the full picture and know what is going to occur. At 0405, I am under the impression, due to rushed handover, that First Lieutenant Wedovic was going to come in at 0400. So I call him on his issued cell phone. The cell phone does not connect. A known issue the squadron had been having with the issued phone sporadically. My immediate next thought is to call someone else to try to wake First Lieutenant Wedovic and inform him it is time to take over. Me not knowing he is not scheduled to come in for another 4 hours. In my confusion, I call up Captain Michael Reeder, who is flying that day and on crew rest, breaking his crew rest. He says to me, "Peyton, you know I'm on crew rest, right?" I immediately apologize profusely and hang up the phone, hoping not to cause an egregious issue otherwise. Now, Captain Reeder he didn't have to, but he did. Not a friend. I then call up Senior Airman Descato, who I am able to reach. He does the swing shift with me, so he is still awake in his room. When I call him, First Lieutenant Wedovic calls me up about 5 minutes later and says, "You know you're supposed to stay until 8, right?" I did not. At 0130, as per schedule, Captain Helpyschmieder and Captain Benoit come in with their crew and do pre-mission planning, uneventfully. And we exchange pleasantries afterward when I send them off to their flight. At 0630, Captain Reeder walks into the operations building where I am with his crew and requests to talk with me privately in my office, a request to which I acquiesce. He then tells me that he cannot fly that day because I broke his crew rest, and that he was otherwise sleeping very poorly that night. So he was looking for an excuse. Got me in a lot of trouble. Per regulation, this is a black and white issue. Though it is important to note exception pilot in command or designee may initiate mission-related communication with official agencies without interrupting crew rests. I didn't interrupt his crew rests. 2. As a member of the 763rd Reconnaissance Squadron Permanent Party, I was considered an official agency. Duh. Assuming all other factors being equal, Captain Reeder was likely entirely within his rights to tell me that he could not fly, and I trusted his judgment. As such, I encouraged him not to fly that day, as I genuinely made a mistake, albeit with many negative circumstances arrayed against me. He didn't care, that were completely outside of anyone's control. Due to the fact that we had no other aircraft commanders to take over for him, the flight was canceled. It did not help that, despite my protestations, Lieutenant Colonel Ayer had been routinely changing the flight schedules. They'd set me up intentionally. They did this intentionally. It was very obvious. A situation that was unprecedented. I had requested a change to this with Lieutenant Colonel Ayer for multiple discussions. On the 11th of March 2017, I am informed that I am to receive a letter of admonishment, and then I am to report to the commander's office at 4, an hour from the time I am told. They told me an hour ahead of schedule. Important notes of the issue on this issue are: 1, I had not had any disciplinary issues before this point, or A. B, it was the last week of the deployment. C, the schedule was routinely changing. D, all crews were becoming weary and tired at this point. E, official agency mission-related communication is a gray area issue, being superseded by the black and white crew rest issue. If the 763rd Operations Squadron is not considered an official agency relaying a mission-related information to another crew member, then nothing else is. F, mission directors were granted no days off over the course of the entire 105-day deployment, nor were assistant directors of operations. Relate this to point D. Number 4, analysis. In conclusion, I believe I was wrongfully admonished for events that occurred on in the 763rd ERS in March of 2017. In general, I felt as if I were put into a position of retribution regardless of past performance. A situation where a single error could muddy one's entire record without any recognition of positive mission accomplishment. I had launched hundreds of missions at the time of this occurrence, but none of that mattered. If there are any further questions, contact me, is what I wrote. Continuing, I informed my DO at Al Udeid that I was no longer interested in PUP. It was dear to me, as I informed him, that the 343rd Reconnaissance Squadron did not want me to upgrade. So I told him I would acquiesce. I had no more reason to continue to push beyond basic services and patriotism, and those things I was already accomplishing. Okay, I can't read this first part. Oh, he didn't seem particularly thrilled. After about 3 weeks of my return to the States, I request a meeting with my squadron commander, DO, and the first shirt. The squadron commander, first shirt, and myself managed to make an appointment together. The DO is too busy. In this meeting, I tell them both my frustrations, and that I had tried everything I can think of, yet nothing has worked, save for one thing. This was what I established the appointment for: building personal relationships. I wanted to figure out why these things were happening to me, or stop them, and I knew the best way to do that was to build trust and loyalty. This could only be done by spending more time with one another. The squadron commander instead requested that I volunteer myself to the mental health clinic, which I agree to under the condition that at least one of them come with me as well, so as to further build that trust. I go to see Dr. Stankus for the first time, and I tell him everything about my experience that I can remember. First mistake of mine. I should have never done that. Where was I? Trying to find it, sorry. There we go. The next appointment, he has me take an MMPI-2 and a few other assessments, which within 1 month disqualify me as a pilot. These documents you have seen, but here is the complaint I sent up to the Inspector General, which I never got any word back from, by the way. Never contacted me back about it. This is the story of what led to my disqualification, which itself is suspect. Okay, I think that's the last piece of paper there. Alright guys, that's the whole of this written portion of the story. I'll read the rest of it in a little bit. Love y'all. Peace.